If you're hearing the sound of my voice, that means you survived the winter storm and are listening to another edition of the Scenic View podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Owens, along with Artis Watkins and Suzanne Beasley and Sammy Klein, the podcast producer. We got a lot to talk about, so let's get to it. All right, first off, winter storm. Was it a dud or what's the take on it? Was it bad or was it a dud? I'm hearing people say there was an overreaction, especially my kids who are upset that there was no snow.
I kind of feel that way too. I mean, it was still, roads were dangerous but we didn't lose power. So there's the...
Yeah, I mean, it's a timing issue, but for the grace of God, we could be Mississippi or Tennessee, and it looked like bombs went off there. So just grateful.
Yeah.
And more.
Trying
or
to
you
stay
could be in
gratitude
Michigan where
over it.
trees are exploding.
Yeah, I saw that
goodness,
too. That's
Crazy.
But have no fear because another storm is approaching. So I told my daughter this morning about that, and she was like, it won't do anything. Like last week, they were like all excited. This is going to happen. And then this week, they're like, oh, no, nothing's going to happen. I think that happens to us every year. And then when we think it's not going to happen, then we get a big old snow, right?
We haven't had a good snow in a long time.
It has been a long time.
We always get messy
But
snow.
that was a good sledding snow we had.
Oh, yeah. I saw your video.
We've not gotten a good sledding snow in years.
That was a good one.
I'm in Garner, so we didn't get anything but ice.
Yeah, your road that we talked about last week was pretty slick, it looked like.
Artis shared a video of her going down the hill with us. So
Speed of light.
Yeah, it was fun.
You were like on National Lampoon's. Did you spray the stuff on the bottom of your sled and go?
No, but I wasn't prepared. You need to at least take a candle and rub it on those rudders for the flexible flyer. But anyway, it's been a while. I was glad to see it. But when I wasn't outside, I was enjoying the Louisville Metropolitan Police Department Twitter site. Have y'all seen that?
No.
Oh, my goodness. Anybody who doesn't follow LMPD, that's their X handle, at LMPD, they're hysterical. And we've got
ones that we weren't, if you're out and you crash, we're not coming in.
Yeah.
Tired.
Yeah, they were great. And they kept entertainment going, and they reminded me we have some great state government websites. Some of the agencies' communication shops are very, very good and funny.
Especially the wildlife one. I love them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but they took it to the next level at the Louisville Metropolitan Police Department. So check that out, y'all.
I didn't have as much fun as I thought.
What did you do, Sammy? What does a Gen Z do during the storm?
Well, when you live alone, you get stuck inside and you just sit there with your dog.
Sad.
Because it wasn't fun snow. It was just me being concerned about, I'm going to slip and fall. My dog, he's going to slip and fall. He went to the dog park and had fun. That was about it. But other than that, I was...
Yeah, my dog is like part Bernese mountain dog. So he's obsessed with the ice and snow. So he wants to go out like every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
He's so annoying during the snow. And then we have another dog who's like a golden doodle. And he's like,
no thanks.
Whatever. I don't want to be out there. And so he stays in most of the time. But Louis gets very annoying during snow.
Because I know a lot of the main roads are clear. My apartment complex still have black ice all over the roads in our apartment complex. So I can't walk really without possibly falling.
So how are y'all's snowman making abilities? Because it seems like this might be a real
if we get
snow.
some snow, man. I can roll a snowball.
They're saying it's going to be a real snow this week. So
we'll see.
Look forward to the pictures on our Facebook page of Susan.
Yeah, and I want to say, speaking of the LMPD X site, I saw a lot of comments about folks who are essential and have to work during this time.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about them on the last podcast. We've got people who have to go to hospitals, and I was even noticing some of the people reporting to some of these hospitals were having to pay for their own accommodations and crazy stuff. And by the way, shame on y'all. Y'all got plenty of money. Pay your people.
Yeah.
And take care of them. But we had, a lot of people were recognized by public officials and so forth. That's great. And it's the right thing to do. Linemen, people who do essential services in the worst of times. I was a little bummed that the state employees weren't recognized by as many state officials because that's your workforce.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's great to notice all the other folks, but don't forget they're out there quietly doing their job. I know one piece of equipment for DOT turned over in the
Yeah, I saw that. A couple of them. I saw another one in Raleigh. There was one in Moore County, and then there was another one in Raleigh. So,
and everybody was okay, is my understanding. But it's a dangerous job, and when everybody else wants to, at the point in the storm where everybody else would do anything but go outside in that mess. Yeah. So,
and like we said, it's not just folks who work on the road and the situation. They also have people who have to go to prisons and facilities.
Yeah. DHHS facilities, and they have to go stay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And universities who have dining halls and things like that, or folks keeping facility services running at universities. There were some parents complaining on a chat thing that I'm a part of about dining hall cutting back the type of food they had during the storm, forgetting that these universities are relying on employees to get there.
Yeah.
So, and risk their lives to come over there. So adjusting the menu a bit is something. Yeah, come on, people. So just
at least your kids getting fed. So,
right.
So good luck this weekend. And let's go to our first major topic of the discussion. I guess the Retirement System Board of Trustees meet tomorrow what are they discussing?
They will go over the experience study by Gallagher, the actuaries. So we're always going to be focused on, getting a COLA. We're also going to do some work on increasing the formula that determines how much you'll get in benefit when you retire. But a COLA is a cost of living adjustment. It is not something that automatically happens. The retirement system is built to provide money from investment gains to, pay for that COLA. And that has not happened in a very long time. Treasurer Briner, a few months ago, he did a video and, shared that his new team had realized $14 billion in investment gains. And, while that's great, that money didn't automatically go to the retirement system to pay for a COLA. Folks got excited. We got excited. But that money has been steered to the unfunded liability. The unfunded liability of the plan means that the plan actually owes pensioners more money than the plan has to pay out. Now, that being said, everybody's not going to retire on the same day, so the sky's not falling, but it is an issue. And Treasurer Briner moved that money, directed that money to pay towards the unfunded liability. I don't know if you guys remember when we reported on the last Board of Trustees meeting that former House Representative Pat Hurley Thornburg had made a motion for a 3.5% COLA. Everybody got really excited to hear that. The board asked her to hang on to that until the January meeting, so we'll see if she puts the motion out there again tomorrow and go from there. However, that is an incredible amount of money to ask for in an appropriation. So stay tuned for more information on that. What I will say is, looking at some states around us, Tennessee has a defined benefit plan like North Carolina does, not on the same scale as ours, but they have more state employees, and they also got a COLA of 3%. Georgia, 1.5% COLA. They also have a defined benefit. There are some tiers in their plan that differs a little bit than North Carolina, but still, these states are giving COLAs, and they also have more state employees. And I think
do they have more, or have they just commensurate to their population added?
Yes.
Yeah. Whereas we did not add commensurate.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And we often say that retirees, it's important for you to speak up for employees that are still working, and that is even more important. I mean, just look at it this way. Active employees are what's paying retirees benefits. Active employees, their 6% is what's paying for retiree pension benefits. So if we are...
And sometimes what the state kicks in as well.
True.
But but the state's not required. The employees are required by law.
That's right.
So you're right. The only thing you can count on is the 6% from those employee paychecks.
Yeah. So kind of my point there is, retirees, it is super important for you to speak up for active employees, for filling vacant positions, for, increasing the number of employees we have to provide services. And yes, for speaking against cutting positions. We need to fill those positions for so many reasons, the retirement system being one of them.
I did a little amateur research in preparing for the old podcast here, and I was just looking at COLAs, just how other states do it, and I noticed that some states have automatic statutory COLAs that have to come
we
every
do
year.
not.
So my question is like, it says New York, Missouri, and Washington are 3 that have statutory COLAs. And our plan is always known as like one of the most well-funded plans.
That just means you're
Mhm.
holding on to the money. You're not giving
That's
it to
right.
Exactly. So how are these places who are lower on the funding list than we are, how are they able to, by law, give COLAs like this?
They plan
Well,
accordingly. They make
yeah.
it one of the priorities in their budget.
I was going to say they're making an investment.
Okay. So why couldn't we do that here, I guess, is the question.
Well, there's not the political will. There hasn't
Yeah.
been. We even tried years ago a bill that would require a mandatory
Yeah.
COLA, and that went over like a fart in church because nobody wants to pay for retirees. They want to have them clear the roads after snowstorms and
Yeah.
hurricanes and have them provide that law enforcement to you and do all of these things and then kind of set them aside and forget about them when they retire.
And particularly the North Carolina Senate has a philosophy of, they don't want to fund COLAs because they don't believe that you get, a raise after you've
And I think
retired.
that would work. Honestly, if you had good investment gains, which we had
right. And
this year,
the plan had money.
if you had a normal amount of employees for your population, it would work.
Yeah.
But what happened is in 23 or 24, Treasurer Falwell announced that for the first time, we had more retirees than we had people putting into the system.
Mhm.
And
folks are living longer too.
Folks are
right?
living longer. Yeah.
well, not if they work in corrections.
Well,
True.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, if you don't know, the average age nationally for a correctional officer to die is 59. So if you're listening to this and you didn't already have extra appreciation for folks who do not get law enforcement benefits,
Mm-hmm.
but have one of the most dangerous jobs mentally, emotionally, physically, there's that tidbit for you. But anyway, the main thing is that we've said it multiple times now. In the last almost 20 years, over 15, our population has soared by 18%, but the number of state employees is literally about the same as it was more than 15 years ago. And that's the people putting into this system. So, of course, at some point, if you're not adding employees to your population,
All right.
I think
then
that's
you're going to go backwards.
That's an aspect that I don't think even our retirees think about, that when one side is adamant about cutting jobs and about cutting state services, a byproduct of that is less for the retirement
Yeah.
system and therefore no COLA for you. So that's something that you really need to think about.
Well, it's playing chess and not checkers. You got to realize
And
there's
that's why the money that does, happen in returns has to go back into the unfunded liability because sustainability will be.
explain
an issue.
unfunded liability for a second.
So the unfunded liability is the amount of money that the retirement system owes to every person who will be qualified to retire. So future retirees are included in the amount of the unfunded liability, which at the end of December 2024, which is what, all of the numbers will be based on, the last full year of business was $12 billion. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So here's what's interesting to me. We talked just now about how the 6% from employees is the only thing legally that has to be done, and that what the state's putting in every year is up to them. It's been zero. It's been just barely above zero. And in recent years, it's been extraordinarily high, 18%. And that's kind of the hole we've dug. I don't understand. Again, it's part of the whole penny wise, pound foolish to me to have to pay that much just to keep the system right, rather than taking a fraction of that, adding it to salary so you can recruit for these positions and then get the 6% out of the paycheck every month of each of those people who are A, providing services and keeping up with your population growth demand for services, but B, putting their money in every month. So it seems penny wise, pound foolish to have to put this employer contribution in there, still leave these retirees treated like dirt. You're not getting anywhere, and your state is left with less services than ever before.
Well, and I know, Treasurer Briner, I read in an article, he said, this should make taxpayers happy, paying down the unfunded liability. And, well, yeah. because you're paying down the unfunded liability. However, on the other side, taxpayers are not getting the services that their tax dollars go
Okay,
to.
but a mortgage is an unfunded liability, right? You don't know you're going to have that job. But so if you're trying to pay your mortgage down instead of pay your electricity bill and your family's freezing, you could tell your family till you're blue in the face, you should be happy because we're paying the mortgage down. If they're freezing, they don't feel that way. So
it seems like that's always thrown out as a boogeyman.
It does. Well, and it is. It is kind of the boogeyman thing. But the bigger issue here is decreasing the number of active state employees and how that's going to affect the sustainability of the pension fund.
Well, you can do more than one thing. You can pay the unfunded liability down at a pace maybe less than you would love to, and you can do something to, again, fix the situation you have where less people are paying in than are taken out by being able to fill those jobs because you give competitive pay. You can do things like Georgia, who's kept up with their population in terms of adding employees to keep up with it, but also outpaces per capita the growth in their gross state product compared to us. So they're winning, and we're losing on that. You can do more than one thing.
Can walk and chew gum at the same time, right? I guess this is a broader point, but it just gets me that we always love to talk about how great North Carolina's economy is for business, and then we say we can't afford public services. We can't afford to have employees. But I digress.
Well, I mean, we deserve the number one for business, and that's great. You have to have business. You have to have industry brought in. But if having the industry here isn't bringing in enough money that you can afford to at least keep up with the kind of services you were providing 15 years ago, what are you doing for the public?
Well, when your services start suffering, the less businesses are going to want to come.
And then there's financial consequences of that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of...
It's always like a huge tangled web once we get through a topic.
Well, there's so many. Everything is attached to everything.
Yeah.
So.
Another topic that came up this week, the show State Lines on PBS North Carolina featured a segment on the SNAP benefits and possible federal penalties that might come because of error reporting or errors in...
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the One Big Beautiful Bill had a provision in it, apparently, that would say on SNAP benefits, if your error rate for your state was above a certain percentage, you would be given less from the federal government. That would be your penalty. And so in North Carolina, our error rate was high enough that this would mean hundreds of millions of dollars. So when we talk about not having enough people resulting in penny-wise, pound-foolish results, this is one of those things. So on State Lines, they talked about the fact that 20 states are in the situation North Carolina's in, where our error reporting exceeded the acceptable error report by the federal government, and therefore they would claw back some of the dollars that they were giving our program for people who need food. And so some things, it said we're going to need more staffing to pay for that, to enforce the work requirements affiliated with the SNAP benefits. And so we have to add staffing, so that's an unfunded mandate. And we talked about unfunded mandates with Deputy Secretary Lassiter on this podcast a few weeks ago in terms of juvenile justice. And, well, his unfunded mandate he talked about was the gun safety,
right,
which was passed with no money. So he's been using lapsed salary to pay for that because he had to figure out a way to pay for it. And then he also talked about the fact that we can get federal penalties if we don't properly staff these facilities. We don't pay enough to be competitive in those facilities, so he's used lapsed salary to get some temps in there. You know, lapsed salaries have been a real buzzword as though they're some kind of bad thing. They're being used to fill gaps where we are not adequately funding our state government. So these SNAP benefits that were discussed and this massive penalty we will acquire because we don't have enough folks to do that work, it seems, is the latest of many instances we're hearing where we are losing so much money because we won't invest. So we're right back to the pension situation.
Right.
So this story by WRAL says that the plan is to cut SNAP funding by 20% is the largest cut to the program ever. And it's part of the one big beautiful bill. And county and state officials are struggling to implement the requirements for it.
Oh,
So it's
yeah.
not just state. I mean,
And
it's
Oh, yeah, we're not in this
yeah.
boat alone. But, when you cut, it's the risk you take to a degree. When you cut and want to operate your state government or your local government on the razor's edge, let's cut it down as far as we can cut it down and still kind of get by. And then only address things when the public's in a clamor.
Mm-hmm.
You're in a position where if a federal law changes, you may be really in a fix there. There are not enough people that you can go fill gaps. And so, again, when people say, well, if we've cut all these employees and state's still operating, we must, have had too many in the first place. No, this is a great example of why we, in fact, did not. We don't have any room for error.
Bottom line.
And so to bring it full circle here, starting next year, the new law will require states to pay up to 15% of SNAP benefits costs if errors are more than 6% of cases. And I guess what you're arguing is if you don't have the people to make sure those errors don't happen, then there's no way you can prevent those cuts.
Yeah, and I mean, and again, we've said this before because she did such a great job making the case, but Secretary of State Elaine Marshall also explained to a legislative committee how we're leaving money on the table. First of all, we're not serving businesses well right now, according to Secretary Marshall, in terms of when they file essential documents. They have to run a business. We're not able to be really fast about our response, which delays people's business endeavors. That's a huge thing.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, she says the state's losing income that they receive because, you pay a fee when you're starting a business. And
Well, I mean, it's back to not being able to provide services. So, businesses are going to.
and it costs. Not being able to provide services always seems like it's just a savings. Great.
Yeah.
We're spending less. But when you're facing federal penalties if your juvenile justice centers are not properly staffed, if you're not bringing in money that Secretary of State's office, Department of Insurance also brings in money not just for the state, but for individual taxpayers who believe they've been wronged by the insurance industry. There are so many examples where more money would be coming in if we had more people to do it. So it's not a savings. It's easy to look like that from 30,000 feet, but when you drill down, it is absolutely not a savings, and it's a huge risk.
So just reading through this story and the others that have been like it about the Medicaid issue, it just seems like it's going to be a huge, like we just talked about, a big web. There's a lot of aspects that need to be addressed, and the legislature hasn't done that yet. And they have to now, right?
Yeah.
And do you see that coming in April? And we think that'll
Yeah,
be
they
the
come
main
back
topic.
April 21. Oh, I'm sure that's up there at the top of the list. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the people that are disproportionately affected almost every time, I know in the discussion on state lines it was brought up, rural communities will be hit the most by that. Almost every time, if you underfund something, our rural areas in North Carolina are going to take a much bigger hit than anywhere else. It's certainly true in state services. In fact, the state, as it used to grow according to population, would make a huge effort to put locations for state services that made sense in certain rural areas. And then that would kind of be the linchpin from which other economic growth, private economic growth, would have this base to build around. And look at the city of Morganton to this day in the county of Burke County. It's and especially
Sam Irvin, right?
Yeah, I mean, and down in Goldsboro, similar stuff happened in Wayne County and down in Goldsboro.
And at our university, it's all across
Absolutely,
the state.
yeah. That is the first step to building, to beefing up a local economy and having the community be stronger. I don't think you have many legislators that would tell you, especially ones from rural areas, hey, everybody's living high on the hog where I'm from.
Yeah.
No. This change alone could cost $69 million to counties. So, I mean, it's definitely something we're going to be watching. We need to have Stephanie Meshi on the old podcast because she works in Medicaid. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Stephanie is the chairwoman of the SEANC DHHS study committee.
Yeah, and I was just talking to her the other day because she graciously accepted an interview with a media person I was working with, and she brought up that she works, she's right in the thick of the Medicaid issue. So I didn't know that. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure if she would be comfortable enough to talk about it, but maybe we can coax her to.
Well, we can try. Yeah, she joined us at the legislature a couple of weeks ago, and I learned quite a bit just sitting beside of her during the committee meeting. So
Listen to your fellow state employees.
Yes.
You all have a story for us, so you all know what's going on at your work site. So let us know if you know something. I'm starting a new segment, y'all. This is going to be a new segment. It's called Stuff I Stole from Other Podcasts.
We're not making a theme song for that.
Oh, we have to. Yeah, this is items that I or we have heard throughout the week on other podcasts that we thought would be nice to bring to you guys. And this one I stole from the News and Observer's Under the Dome podcast, which is a staple for everyone in state government or state politics. This week they talked about the UNC Chapel Hill Board of Trustees surprise resolution to cut $17 million in administrative costs at their last meeting. It kind of came out of nowhere at the end of the meeting. Looks like that could possibly result in some layoffs.
Oh, I think without question.
UNC Chancellor Lee Roberts told the News and Observer, layoffs are always a last resort. Most of our operating budget is salaries and benefits. So as soon as you start talking about savings, you very quickly get to headcount. But we can do a lot through attrition and through slowing down our hiring. So far this fiscal year, we've already saved about $8 million without layoffs, just in slowing down hiring and through attrition. I think that's how we think about it. Your thoughts?
Well, I don't know if there's enough attrition for that much money, but you've already got people overworked doing, the jobs of more than one employee. And
is this something that's going to, this is UNC Chapel Hill specifically. Is this something that's maybe system-wide they're going to be thinking about?
I would anticipate that, yeah.
Yeah.
Do we know what the programs are that are being...
The story says that Chapel Hill's pocketbook has felt worryingly light to leadership as of late because of a lack of a state budget, federal funding pressure, and a new method for funding campus performance. And the university would rely heavily on centralizing administrative functions, reducing duplication, and standardizing process through an initiative they've titled Service First.
Oh, this is all the Service First stuff. Okay.
Yeah. So what do you think, Artis? Is this going to come to other campuses? Is this something trending that way, or is this...
I think that talking about stealing from other podcasts and the NNO Under the Dome podcast that you started this with, in that discussion, it was said, the Board of Trustees, Carolina is kind of like the Board of Governors overall for the university system. They're going to kind of follow the lead of the General Assembly. So if you see the idea of a lot of cuts coming, that's going to definitely creep and crawl through anything the state, tax dollars touch. I think the question is, when you say administrative folks, are you talking about the people, the lower level people, or are you talking about having less layers of big wheels, your top administrative folks? It matters.
Yeah.
It matters very much because it matters in terms of how much is going to fall on the shoulders of other low-paid administrative individuals versus falling on the shoulders of the highly compensated, big title folks. Mm-hmm. And I think we need more information on that for sure. It's sad. I do think the university system is one where a lot of us have grave concerns, and in terms of being alums from Carolina. I know that folks who are alums from Carolina, there's a lot of talk about what's happening over there, what's going on. And we hope that things are going to be for the best, but we're not so sure.
There's a lot of things like that, like the whole logo change they made.
Why did we spend $600,000 for a logo we already have? That one? Yeah.
You didn't mind spending that much money, but you want to cut jobs.
Right. It's very hard to explain.
I don't get, just an aside, as an alum, I don't get moving to the athletic logo and away from the academic whale logo.
Right. Because it said, they're going to go to more of an interlocking approach to the marketing of the university. If we're going to do that, let's interlock the money from athletics with the money for academics, because the money for academics has been quite skimpy compared to what the money for
Yeah.
athletics has been. And the university got to where it was because of the academics, the strong academics.
Yeah.
And that's, yes, we're all super fans, especially of UNC basketball. But why are we most proud of that UNC degree? It's not the basketball team.
Right.
Yeah. And the whale logo was cool. I liked it. So when you think of the academic side of the school, you think of the whale or South Building. Maybe even they could use South.
Yeah.
You know?
So, I mean, you worry about the future.
Yeah, this is a huge topic. Like, what is the future of athletics at state universities like UNC, and what is the purpose of UNC? It's just a huge, broad topic, like, should they be pretty much a professional
The university system is there to have affordable access to education for a strong workforce that you talk about wanting to stay number one in business. You want to stay strong in terms of your university system. I think our university system has survived as well as it has against the odds.
Yeah.
Because it's been strong leadership at these individual constituent universities that has made us stay viable with a funding stream that has, like everything else, has just not met what we needed to be. But I do worry for students, if you talk about cutting administrative positions, that if they are lower level administrative positions, those are the folks who do things the students need.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you're
already
if you're a parent of somebody in a public university in North Carolina, you already have seen and hear a lot about how there's less and less availability of people for students compared to 5 years ago. Certainly compared to 10 and 15, where we could get tremendously quick, extensive help from admin staff. It's just they're not able to do it now. There's not as many of them per capita. It comes right back around to that. So if you're adding provosts, you're adding big wheels, you're not helping students in the same way.
And don't take this the wrong way, scenic listeners. I am a huge Carolina basketball fan and football game. I mean, I'm not saying that
you're a super fan.
I'm not saying that athletics should be cut, but it should be a secondary thing to the academic side. But I digress. Also, another debate on campus, since this is Carolina time, we could splice in the fight song or something. But moving the Dean Dome. Do y'all have any opinions about that?
I feel like we should get a current student in here to talk about this.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I got one.
Oh, really?
We'll bring him in. I mean, what I would have to say about that is I don't think anybody cares a poop what we have to say. Maybe a student, but not what we have to say. Roy Williams has weighed in, and I don't think any of us are going to try to compete with Roy's opinion.
That's kind of my take. I have opinions on both sides. I think either one's probably doable. I don't really care either way, but if Roy and Dean Smith care, then that's probably what we should do. So another topic that came up on the Under the Dome, this won't be part of our official segment, but just a reminder that early voting starts on February 12th and runs through February 28th, which is a couple weeks from now. And we got some sad news this week. Kim Delaney, a candidate for NC House 73 from Cabarrus County, unexpectedly passed away. So with regards to her family, I didn't really see any specifics beyond that about the... Had you guys
just
dealt
that it
with
was
her
unexpected, so...
Had you guys dealt with her at all or anything? Or
no,
but it's early in the impact, process.
Did see she leaves behind 2 children, so
that's really sad.
That's super hard to hear, and
especially about someone who's willing to step up and
and serve
run
in
for
that
office.
Capacity. Well, just a little tidbit on that. I don't think people realize a lot of times that North Carolina actually has a citizen legislature.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be in a special predicament to be able to serve in our General Assembly.
And we've talked about it several times, how everyone gets up in arms when we talk about raises for them. But if you did pay them a full-time salary, you would probably get entirely different cast of characters.
Yeah.
Only retirees can be in the legislature.
Or independently wealthy. Yeah.
Independently wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's something to think about, North Carolina. Maybe, it's a very important job. Maybe.
We're never off. The legislature goes year round now.
Yeah. You get what you pay for, just like state services, right? Yeah. That could be like another state service, right?
There you go.
Anyway, we'll get off that topic. Do we have any Gen Z discussion this week? Sammy, you said that the Gen Z is kind of up in arms about what's going on in Minneapolis. Is there any lighter topics to discuss or?
Not really. I mean, People are upset about that. People are upset about TikTok has new partial ownership.
Yeah.
Quarter of it is owned by a company called Oracle now.
Owned by Larry Ellison, right? So, yeah, it's different now. The TikTok is seem a little more.
It might just be some bugs that they're currently trying to work out with someone having new quarter ownership that they're trying to figure out what's changing. Yeah,
Or
it could just be
not be that.
I mean, when Vine transferred ownership, that's when it started to deteriorate, and no one really used it anymore. So who knows?
I think Vine is a fascinating thing. Like, it was huge for like 3 minutes, and then it disappeared.
I know.
What happened?
The people who owned it shut it down, and that's partially because the people who were influencers and who were getting big on there, they weren't getting paid.
I think there's like a huge...
And so they stopped posting because they were like, we're not getting any money for this. Why are we entertaining people?
And they all went to
nothing.
like Instagram.
They all went to YouTube and Instagram because those were platforms that were paying them for their content.
Okay, so maybe it's not that complicated. Maybe it's just mismanagement.
Yeah.
But I've always thought Vine was like an interesting thing about social media. Let's go to the question of the week.
John's wacky weird question of the week.
All right, so my question of the week is very quick. And I think I know the answer from everyone, but I wanted to bring it up just to maybe incite a little more discussion. But would you rather watch a TV show, like binge watch it straight through, or do you like watching it week to week, like episodically?
Well, it depends. If I can sit down and binge it, I'm going to binge it. But, sometimes...
Yeah.
You can't.
This comes up with us because we're big fans of The Pit. Have you seen The Pit? Oh my gosh.
Heard it was good.
It's the best show ever. It's on HBO, but it's a great show. It's like hour by hour. Like each episode is an hour at an emergency room in Pittsburgh, and it's amazing. Like the acting is amazing and everything. But you have to watch it every week. Like HBO, their shows come out every week.
Oh.
So we got to a topic like, every week you're like, oh no, what happened? And then it ends. And you have to wait a whole other week.
Wait a week.
It's so frustrating.
We've gotten so used to binging.
Yeah, we really have.
So when it's just a weekly episode.
So we're debating on whether to not watch it and then wait and then binge it all at the end or not. But I think that's funny that we've kind of changed to that because back in the day, everything was episodic like that. So what about you, artists? Do you like watching all at once? Or
I binge because we did grow up having to wait, and
yeah,
I'm not good at having to wait for anything. So
I like the wait.
Oh, do you?
I do. I grew up watching a show. Well, everyone probably knows this. Big Brother.
Yeah.
I love watching Big Brother, and that's like 3 episodes a week, and it's real time because they're actively trapped in this house, and so you're watching it, and you're like, oh yeah, well, that person's gone this week. Let's see who goes next week. And I don't know. I like real-time stuff. Right now, I'm watching A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, a new Game of Thrones series, and it comes out on HBO Max as well.
Yeah.
It's week by week. And I kind of like it because it's something to look forward to.
That's true. We do get excited every time we see a new pit pop up.
Yeah.
So you're kind of an old soul there, Sammy.
Well, it's also because when I was growing up, I loved, like, my family, we had shows that we watched every week. We had, like, Mom came out every week.
Oh, yeah.
Or Brooklyn Nine-Nine, a new episode would come out
every week. And that was family time.
Yeah. So it was family time. So it's basically a time for me to actually sit down and, like, watch something. Of course, there are shows that, like, are older shows that I'll go back and be like, I just want to binge something that I don't want to pay attention to. I just want to mindlessly have something on in the background.
Yeah, I get that.
Like Friends or The Nanny. Those are kind of things that I throw on mindlessly in the background. But
yeah, Parks and Rec. Right. Well, sure, there's a lot of shows for you to binge this weekend as you are braving another winter storm snap. But enjoy the snow cream, and we'll see you next week.